Certain bits of information were repeated again and again, like that Long Island used to be called the capital of state hospitals in the U.S.
Most of the states throughout the country have had psychiatric centers similar to ours. The difference with ours is these were the 3 largest facilities in the world. There were 3 main facilities on Long Island. At the highest point, the 3 hospitals combined had 30,000 patients. Central Islip and Kings Park had approximately 9,000 patients each. Pilgrim was the largest in the world. Pilgrim had approximately 13,500 patients and was in the Guinness Book of Records. Kings Park was the prettiest of the hospitals by far. It was 870 acres of farmland initially in the late 1800s. Always remember, there was no medications at all at that time because of all that overcrowding in the city. The idea was to purchase all this property on Long Island because it was very inexpensive to buy the property, and they thought it's the country. It's much more open, clean air, that if you take away all the stimulation of the city, it would help them with their illness.
Some of the people I met came from families that had worked at the hospital for generations. From them I heard stories passed down by their parents and their grandparents.
Well, my father came from Ireland 1 week after the stock market crashed. So being Irish Catholic and uneducated, he found it very hard to get a job. In fact, there were signs all over New York, Irish Catholic need not apply. But some of his relatives had settled here, and one by one they would bring over the family, and all of them went to work here. My father often said that Kings Park didn't feel the depression like the rest of the United States because of the state hospital. According to my father, there would be 250 patients on one of the wards, and he would tell us how if a patient who was up against the wall in the dormitory needed attention in the middle of the night, you would have to walk over all the other patients' beds to get to that patient.
This was a crazy place, and not just because of the people they locked up. It was a very crazy place.
We were here at the same time.
Yes, we were. I can't imagine what it was like being on the other side of the cage. I mean, I could go home at night.
You said this amazing thing when I first met you. The patients who survived were the ones who were like Uncle Tom patients.
Yes.
And that was me. I was an Uncle Tom patient. There's no question. When I got in here and I got as scared as I did, I was very obedient.
And how you ingratiated yourself to the staff was by mopping the floors and cleaning up.
That's right. I was mopping that floor the second day I was here.
Absolutely kissing ass. And you know what's interesting is here someone's calling, you're called crazy for being, because you're in the hospital, and to be able to have that sense of reality of how do I survive in this place? That's a pretty healthy trait. That's pretty sane.
I want to be standing here and I want to cheer when they smash these buildings because it'll be all my anger and frustration about this place going. I'd love to be in that crane and give it the first whack. I would love it. I would love it. We're trapped in this building and everyone so desperately wanted somebody to talk to. Like, a lot of times patients would knock on the nurse's staff window a lot, it was really sad to see. They'd knock, they would ignore anyone who knocked, never really answered.
I remember that.
People just wanted to talk, That's why I said there was no therapy here, really. Pat was a recreation aide, and she basically was in charge of the whole building. And she said to me, "You need something to do, don't you?" So she wanted to know if I wanted to come help her down the recreation room. And I was ecstatic. I felt like exactly what I wanted to feel like, somebody. And I know for a fact, if Pat didn't take me under her wing, I wouldn't have made it. I know I probably would have killed myself. I wish you could see me today. Because I want to say, hey, Pat, I'm okay. And I want to thank her for helping me.
What I learned was there were a lot of ways a person could end up at Kings Park. If you were poor and had no place to live, if you were an orphan and difficult to handle, if you were an alcoholic or a drug addict, if you had epilepsy, if you were an immigrant and couldn't make the adjustment to America, if you were old or chronically ill and your family could not or would not care for you, or if you had been diagnosed with a mental illness, you could end up at Kings Park.